Hello, my Aloha tribe. Excuse me. Wow, let me try that again. Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. I'm a bit casual today, yeah, with my London sweatshirt. Anyway. Okay, it's Monday. It is Monday. And I just threw stuff on and said, you know what? Don't care today. I should, but I don't. But hey, I put on makeup for you, so hey, there you go. Okay. But anyways, it's been a bit of a morning this morning, and sorry, not for me, but when sometimes Mondays happen, right? And I'm grateful to say that this isn't I've been helping someone through something today, and so because that's what good people do. But I know. Anyways, just kidding. Humility back in check. But I don't want to just say a lot because it's not my story to tell, but let's just say it's been a bit of a morning. But all right, so we're doing the journey to wholeness. We're on part 2. Part 2 was supposed to be about mandalas and Carl Jung's work with mandalas. Now, just as a disclaimer, I am not a therapist. I am not a clinician of any type. I am just someone who's been through all of this, and I'm trying to share my experiences as we kind of go through all this together. So, so yeah, let's get rolling. I almost started this over again, but I know there are people coming on this morning. So I'm gonna do part 2 tomorrow. Okay, there's actually gonna be 4 parts. I thought there was only 3, but it turns out there is more after part 3, and I really want to go into all of that because I think that'll be a great summation for the journey into wholeness. Now, the best part is just like last time with the people pleasing, we're going to end this on a Wednesday. So for anybody who wasn't here on Friday, the first step was embrace all sides of yourself through self-compassion, even and especially the warty ones. Now, warty, W-A-R-T-Y, okay? I know it doesn't really, I don't know, maybe it's just me talking, but it doesn't seem to translate well. But what they mean by that is, embrace all sides of yourself through self-compassion, including the dark parts. Now, in the middle of that, they did talk about mandalas and how Carl Jung used to use those. So I'll go into that tomorrow. But today I want to do, today we're going to jump to the last part. And to be honest with you, part 2 and part 3 are a bit interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. I actually think part 2 should have been last, only because, after you go through part 1 and 2, embracing yourself, all your dark sides with self-compassion, and then going into what we're going to talk about today, I think the mandala coming last will actually kind of help people move into that area of journaling and moving into that, kind of deep inner work that we want to do for ourselves, that we feel we may need to do for ourselves. So today is hold hands with the devil inside of you. Okay, hold hands with the devil inside of you. Now, don't let the title throw you off, okay? Because I know you're thinking, I don't want to embrace that part of myself, and no, evil. But that's not what they're talking about. It's just like with the tarot deck, right? Most people don't understand that with tarot, it's all symbolism, all right? And the devil card is basically your inner self. It's the dark side. So in the Journey to Wholeness Part 1 that we covered Friday, where it says embrace all bits of yourself. Well, let's see, what exactly did it say? Embrace all sides of yourself through self-compassion, even and especially the dark parts. This is what they're talking about. This is the dark part they're talking about. So again, tomorrow we'll do the mandalas. Today we're going to do, the title, Hold Hands with the Devil Inside of You. So I'm just going to read this, okay? Because this is, like I said, some stuff came up this morning. I've been helping somebody work through all their stuff, and, well, maybe not work through, but just listen. And so, in that, I decided to kind of jump to this one to do today because, I think it's a good way to start off the week. I know it might seem a little deep, it might seem a little dark, it might seem whatever, but this is where we have to go to heal these parts of us that are hurting inside, to heal these parts of us that feel like we're constantly, giving into that people pleasing. So the journey to wholeness really is kind of the sequel to people pleasing. It's how to move out of that frame of mind and into something where you feel really kind of content with yourself, where you don't feel like you constantly have to people please because you don't want to be rooted in, well, because you are rooted in fear, right? That's where people pleasing comes from, fear and rejection. I mean, that's my opinion, but if you really stop and look at it, right, what are the common traits of a people pleaser? Someone who does not want to be rejected and who fears rejection. So they kind of give in to these things and they try to do what they can for other people. So, anyways, oh, good morning, older sibling, baby sibling. See, this is why I couldn't start over, because I knew eventually they were going to come on. So again, I'm just going to read this and then we'll talk about it, okay? So we're all imperfect and therefore we all carry a dark side. I know. See, now this is exactly what I was talking about. Older sibling just said that the title makes herself cringe. She popped on after I kind of discussed the title. So when it says hold hands with the devil inside of you, again, we're not talking about the literal biblical version of the devil. We're talking about the dark side that's inside of us. We're talking about that shadow side, that unhealed side, that, again, I'm going to associate it with the tarot. The tarot card is technically, the devil card is how you see yourself. It's the dark side of how you see yourself, how, all the bad things that you feel you might be capable of, even if you're not, even if it's just how you see yourself. I mean, a lot of people who've been through trauma will have this side of them, because there's just this shame and this guilt and this rejection and the fear of rejection sitting inside of them. That's why a lot of people who struggle and have been through trauma end up being people pleasers, because they just want to make everyone happy, because it's hard to find that happiness inside of themselves because there is so much pain. So that's where holding hands with the devil inside of you comes in. We're going to talk about the shadow work, healing the inner child, healing this part of you that feels empty, that is constantly keeping your cup empty instead of full, because you're constantly trying to fill it with the joy of other people instead of finding ways to fill yourself with your own joy. So, and I have to admit, I had a bit of a light shine on me this weekend or on Thursday and Friday, and I felt like this contentment, and then all of a sudden it was gone again. So there's something inside of me that I know has got to probably be healed, because there's something still blocking me from just letting in that proverbial sunshine. So again, let's get started. We're all imperfect and therefore we all carry a dark side. This dark side is often referred to as the shadow self because it's hidden from us, buried within the unconscious mind, and suppressed from everyday awareness. The tendency of New Age spirituality is to deny the shadow, seeking to focus only on spiritual ascension. Now, I don't think that's the intention of New Age spirituality. I consider myself a spiritual person. I'm not a religious person, but a spiritual person. And I don't think that's the intention of it, but it does happen because we're so focused on just being this good person that we realize, hey, there's this anchor holding us back because we haven't dealt with a lot of this dark stuff that's inside of us. So again, the tendency of New Age spirituality is to deny the shadow, seeking to focus only on spiritual ascension. But denying the shadow only makes it grow larger and angrier, like the lava in a volcano about to erupt. Now, to add on to that though, the lava in the volcano about to erupt does create it expands. It expands you. So you have to decide, is that lava going to be an expansion of who you are in a good way? Or is it going to be its usual destructive self, take everything out on its way to the sea? You have to decide. You have to decide how you're going to look at it. All right. So it's for this reason. Okay. So this is the person writing. This is from lonerwolf.com. And again, on Wednesday, I will post this link in the comments of all the social media places where I post this so that you can read this article. So on YouTube and on TikTok where I do the videos, and on Facebook, under the blogging page, the Aloha Perspective, I will put the comments, or I will put the link in the comments so that you can read this all the way through, because I'm telling you, bookmark it, save it, send it to yourself, whatever you got to do. This is an amazing piece of work. All right. So it's for this reason that I tend to favor the union of psychology and spirituality, or as they call it, psychospirituality, which amazingly enough willingly reaches out to the shadow. To experience more inner wholeness, we need to be able to embrace all elements of our being. Introducing psychological exploration into our spiritual practice is therefore crucial to moving towards this inner wholeness. So the psychospiritual approach that this person advocates on their website is inner work, which contains 3 foundational practices. Number 1, self-love. That is huge. Self-love includes self-worth, self-care, and self-respect. Number 2, inner child work. And number 3, shadow work. To hold the hand of your inner devil, you must first build a strong foundation of self-love. Otherwise, how can you befriend your darkest shadows? You'll just end up rejecting or hating them and fragmenting yourself even more. Inner child work helps you to soothe and comfort your wounded innocence so that you can feel safe enough to venture into the dark. And shadow work is the final step, allowing you to experience more inner peace and opening a doorway to greater spiritual growth. So, they don't really go into a lot here. I think next week, maybe in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to redo the shadow work, thing, because that was something I did a couple years ago, and it helped me beyond what I can even explain. I mean, it was, I'm not going to lie, it was life-changing. It was definitely life-changing. And I know that you're going to be, but Shelley Murray, you still talk about struggling from time. Yeah, I do. I do struggle from time to time, because that has nothing to do with the healing I've done. That has everything to do with all the bad habits I've created over the last, decades and decades of life. Because, those were the things that kept me safe. Those were the things that made me feel like I was safe. To be honest with you, that safety net was a disservice to me because there was the wrong kind of safety net. It was basically the kind, it wasn't like those big airbags, right, that the fire trucks have. No, it was like one of those circus nets where it's like, you get rope burns when you're trying to get off. So I created these negative habits, and it's up to me now to reposition myself and to recreate new habits and to come up with new things to deal with. So when they talk about self-love is huge. Self-love is going to be the greatest gift you ever give yourself because now I got that song in my head, because of the wonderful thing it does. I'm changing the words, yes, but be your own, right? I mean, that was the Yellow Brick Road, right? The Yellow Brick Road song from The Wizard of Oz, but or we're off to see the wizard, but be the wizard of your own life. I mean, think about it. Maybe that came into my head for a reason, right? I mean, like I said, I work a lot with Archangel Gabriel, so maybe this came into my head for this reason. When Dorothy and her friends got to Oz, it was, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. And the wizard sent them off on this quest that he thought they would fail. And he wouldn't have to deal with it ever again, because the wizard was a fake. He was just a guy. He was just a man who floated in on a balloon. And that's kind of that dark side of us, that shadow side of us. It's this part of us that tells us lies, and we believe it because we think, well, it's keeping me safe. It's keeping me in this position. It's keeping me in this place where I need to be. And, sorry guys, this is pulling on my remote or on my mic, but is it the voice you want to listen to? Think about it this way. When we talk about the wizard, right, it was Toto, it was the dog who pulled back the curtain. And we talk about that sometimes too now. And when we reference things, yeah, I pulled back the curtain on that lie and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's pulling back the curtain on that lie. And the wizard is basically that voice in your head that's lying to you and saying, you don't need this, you don't need that, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And you need to just stick to yourself because that's where it's safe. And you need to do this because that's what it, it's all the negative stuff. It's all the negative stuff. So the wizard in this metaphor is going to represent all our negative voice. Whereas the four who were there, to get the heart, the brain, the courage, to go home. The dog was the only one really kind of not wanting anything. He's just kind of like, yeah, I'm with my person, so I'm good. I'm having an adventure. And so maybe look at the dog as being kind of that guide, your spidey instinct. When we can't talk for ourselves or we can't feel for ourselves, there's something that's going to happen that's going to bring things to the forefront so that, you have no other choice but to deal with them. I was in a dark, dark place when I did my shadow work. And I'm telling you, it was going to make me or it was going to break me. But what ended up happening is it broke me before it made me. And I know that makes no sense, but if you stop and think about it, it makes absolute sense. I basically went to hell and back. And, I'm not trying to say that that's how hard shadow work is, but that's how hard shadow work is. And it is going to remind you of the strength you have. Your trauma didn't make you strong. You made you strong by trying to deal and cope with it for all those years. And I think sometimes we become so strong that, okay, wait, hold on. Older sibling says, the scarecrow wanted a brain. I didn't say anything about the scarecrow. I said they wanted a heart, a brain, and courage. So, but anyways, baby sibling says, yeah, okay, bringing things to the forefront to make you realize shit. We don't like it. It sucks. But we're going to keep being pounded with the lessons until we start to learn them. And they're hard. They're hard. They're hard. I'm not lying when I said I feel like I went to hell and back. Now people would be like, really, just by healing? A lot of people won't understand that term coming from somebody who's, kind of lived a pretty sheltered life. For the most part. But when you go through healing, when you go through things that trigger you, when you go through moments of that PTSD, you are going to go through something so horrible that it feels like you're going to hell and back. But you have the strength to move through that. And I'm telling you, the longer you wait to heal things, the longer it's going to take for you to get better. The longer it's going to take for you to see that light that you deserve. We all deserve good things in this world. But do we have enough self-worth and self-respect to understand that and to believe that? How much are we willing to put up with before we finally say, I'm done? Because other people are not our responsibility. I had to learn that the hard way. I've talked about this in the past where I almost wrecked, one of my closest family relationships because I was trying so hard to fix somebody else because I could not fix myself. The best we can do for other people is to be there for them. We cannot fix other people. We want to because we see how hard it is and all that pain. We see, how hard it is, that's, I'm going to tell you one thing right now. People who go through this new age spiritual ascension, it's not as easy as it seems. Okay? Because you get to a certain place in your thinking and you get to a certain place spiritually and you see the people that you have either passed by or the people that you're still passing by or the people that, are having unable to move forward and you just want to pick them up and bring them with you, but you can't. They have to make that journey for themselves. So it can be hard when you see that because we know we can't fix other people. But we want so hard to just say, hey, listen to me. I've been there. I've done that. And sometimes that just causes more resentment. They don't want to hear your shit. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're receptive. Sometimes they're not. But they don't want to know how great you feel now because you've gone through hell and back and found your place on the other side. It's hard being on the other side. They make it sound like this is huge grand thing. Yeah, it's great feeling a little more spiritually in tune with myself. Yeah, it's great, knowing that I have all these tools to combat the worry with, which, I'm still working on. I'm a work in progress when it comes to worry, because worry is like my number one, it's like my shield, and I hate it, and I'm working so hard to remove it, but, excuse me, but we can't. Everybody has to go on their own journey. And that's what they're talking about here when they say hold hands with the devil inside of you. They're not asking you to go to hell and hold hands with the actual devil. No. But for people who aren't religious, the devil is an idea. Now, I believe in heaven and hell, so, there's that. But for other people who don't, it's an idea. It's that dark, shadowy side of you. And that's what they're talking about here. Again, let's reference again once more the tarot cards, where the devil, just like death, there's probably a 0.000.1% chance that death actually means death. Okay? Because, hello, we're literally on our way to death from the moment we're born. It's just a matter of when. Nobody gets out of this life alive unless you're a vampire and, still out on whether that's true or not, whether that's real, right? I know. So, hey, you know what? I'll believe in anything. I'm not gullible, but you never know. This world is an interesting place, and the more I open up to it, the more I see, wow, okay. But my point is we don't get out of this life alive. So, as older sibling likes to call it, from womb to tomb, right? It's just a matter of when. So, we all sometimes will sit there and say, oh, I know I'm dying. It's like, yeah, well, we've been dying every day since the day we were born. But you get to decide how you live this life. You get to decide whether you get to make each day count. Don't shame yourself. Don't guilt yourself if there's time that's gone by that you can't recover. Or maybe you think you should have been here, or maybe you thought you should have been there, or maybe Joe Blow, old classmate from 20 years ago, is in this place and you're not in this place. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are people in this world who might be super successful and they may be completely unhappy. But we don't see that, right? Because all we see is the outside. We don't see their inside. We see what people want to show us. And I do my best to kind of keep myself as open of a book as I can. So, I'm kind of I'm winging it here, guys, because this was not what I planned on talking about today. I had studied up on doing the mandalas the last couple of days. And like I said, after this morning, it felt like this was the right conversation to have today, especially when you're starting out at the beginning of the week. Do you want to keep going through life without self-love, without doing that inner child work, without doing that shadow work? Now, not everyone's going to need that, because not everybody has been through a lot of the crap that other people have been through. But if you struggle with these negative aspects, if you struggle with having that wizard hiding behind the curtain in your land of Oz, then there is something in there that needs to be healed. At the end of the movie, Dorothy finds out all that time that she had the power to go home. She just had to click her shoes. Now you're saying, Shelly Marie, it's not that easy. I can't just click my shoes and make everything better. No. But when you click your shoes, basically what you're saying to yourself is, excuse me, I'm ready to believe. I'm ready to challenge myself. I'm ready to just put my faith into something and into myself and know that I can move forward, that I can do this, that I am capable of all my healing. Now, if you are not in a very good place, okay, before you do shadow work, before you do the inner child work, I highly suggest seeking professional help, because it can be a doozy depending on what it is that you are trying to heal. And it can be a little life upending. But for me, I actually did the shadow work before I went back to therapy, and I knew what I was in for. I had a very big idea, because I discovered the shadow work through Carl Jung, who was a psychotherapist. Okay, so I knew that if this is somebody who was using this with his patients to help them through their crap, then it's like, oh yeah, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be a journey of all journeys. But I knew it was something that I needed. And I knew I had to do that particular thing on my own. And for no other reason than I've spent a lot of my time in my life leaning on people. You know, I leaned on both of my parents for years and years and years for strength because I didn't realize I had my own. And when my mom passed away, it was kind of like, uh-oh, I'm just going to be like flailing in the wind here. I'm going to be like a loose flag whose ropes aren't tied down, just flapping in the wind. But somewhere along that journey, I found something, and I found something inside of me. And it took me a while. I am so sorry, you guys. It took me a long time to find that. And part of it was because, well, not part of it. The biggest reason is because I didn't have faith. I didn't trust myself. And that's why they list number 1 as self-love, number 2, inner child work, number 3, the shadow work. That, for me, the inner child work was the shadow work, because that's what was damaged, was the inner child. It was the child in me who never had a chance to be a child. And, well, in aspects, okay, I had, like I said, it was like this weird situation for me, and I'm sure there are other people who have been through it. But there was this, you know, this side of me that had the secrets and everything. But then there was this other side of me who had these great parents, this wonderful family, and there was the fun side. So there was like two me's, and trying to bring them two together was hard, to bring both of me's together. So that's where my inner child work and my shadow work came in. So there was this inner child that was super confused, but you know, the trauma side was the shadow side, and I had to figure out how to heal them together. So for me, it was kind of one big thing. It was like the shadow work of my inner child, but that may not be the case for everybody. So when I put the link in the comments there, you can click on each one of these and it'll guide you. But I do think, like I said, I do think in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to redo the shadow work, because I think it's important for us to go deep. You know, I think it's important for us to get down to the nitty gritty so that we can really truly see what we're deserving of. You know, I mean, we're going to have these moments where we say, fuck the world. You know, we are, because we're human, right? And we're perfectly imperfect, and everybody is shit, and nobody's good, and everybody sucks. And that's life. That's life. Life ain't always great, right? It's going to have moments. I saw a person that I follow on Facebook, a friend of mine, posted that they hate the term everything happens for a reason, because bad things just happen and there's no good reason for it. Well, that's true, but that doesn't negate the fact that everything does happen for a reason, whether we like it or not. Yeah, bad things are shitty, but you know, I chose not to comment on it because that's where I've gotten. I used to hate the term everything happens for a reason. I couldn't understand why anything would happen for a reason. But I mean, you know, if we're talking about grief and we're talking about death, death is bound to happen to somebody we love eventually. It's just a matter of whether we're ready for it or not. And we're never ready for that. We're never ready for somebody we care about to be gone. And I think that's where, in this particular case, this person was coming from, because they have gone through a lot of grief in the last couple of years. And I get it. It's difficult. It's extremely difficult. You know, I mean, when somebody said that to me after my mom died, I wanted to punch them in the fucking throat. Straight up. Just wanted to throat punch them. Like, seriously? You're saying that to me right now? Let me get to a place where I'm healed before you can say that to me. I still don't like the fact that my mom's gone. And I still can't really resolve the everything happens for a reason thing with that. But when it comes to our life, everything does happen for a reason, whether we want to hear it or not. The good things, the bad things. The bad things are the teachable moments, and they're bad things because it's how we react to it. You know, are we going to let it tear us down? Probably for a while, especially depending on the severity of that pain. It's probably going to drag us down for a little bit, you know, but you are the one who brings yourself back. You are the one who does the work, goes in, journals about it if you want to. I highly suggest journaling if you are going to do inner child work or shadow work. You can use a regular notebook that you buy from the grocery store, from the office store. It doesn't have to be a fancy journal. Excuse me. All of my journals, to be honest with you, I don't know if I have any sitting on here. I don't think I do. I think they're over on the shelf. But my very first one, when I started my shadow work, and people know this because I talked about this in the last couple of weeks, it was just a blue spiral notebook that I decorated with a silver pen and some stickers. And all it said was Operation Feral Floof. And my floof was my inner child. And yeah, so older sibling says the bad things happen so you can learn from them. I know, right? And you're like, well, I don't want to learn these lessons, but we have to. We have to. That's where we heal. That's where we find our self-love, our self-respect, our self-worth. It's where we learn that self-care is not selfish. It is necessary to take care of ourselves. That's where we learn all these things. They're in the lessons. That's why bad things happen, but we get to decide how bad they are. And I only put it in quotes because it really depends on how we react to things. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Life can be shitty. Life can suck. But we have the ability to flip that. We're in charge of who we are. You know, someone may be responsible for hurting us. We're responsible for how far we take that. And that might be a bit controversial for some. Sorry, God, my face is, I feel like all these messages are coming in now because now my face is so itchy. It literally feels like someone's dragging a feather over my face. But, I know. Maybe it's my anxiety and my nerves because, sometimes when I get anxiety, I get itchy. But I think it's because I'm not totally comfortable saying some of these things. Because I've been there. I've had these things said to me. I know how much they can hurt. I know how much they can sting. And when I look back, I think these are things I needed to hear. And sometimes I'm kind of a coward. People ask me, what should they do? And it's like, I don't want to say anything. It's not my decision to make a choice for somebody else. No matter what I'm thinking in my head going, are you fucking kidding me? Because I think sometimes we're just afraid that we're going to make the wrong choice. I've had to make a lot of hard choices in my life, and when I look back on them, as hard as they were the right choices. And if they were the wrong ones, opportunities came back around to fix it and to make things right. So, you know, we get to decide. Excuse me. I am so sorry about my throat, you guys. I was doing fine until I hit play on this show, and it was just kind of like, go live. Okay, lose your throat, lose your voice. But, like I said, we get to choose the path that we're on. We get to choose whether we learn from something or we continue to self-sabotage ourselves. When we get bad news, we're always going to go to the far reaches of the universe to discover all the bad things without having all the information in our hands. And that's where the negative elements come in. That's where the negative stuff finds room to squeeze in, right? Because you literally went from here all the way over to here, like literally off the screen. When we don't have all the facts in hand, when we don't have all of the potential outcomes, we start to create our own, and we start to make things up in our head, and we start to go off the deep end and try to think of the worst case scenarios and everything, because a lot of times that's exactly how we're built, right? That's how we get raised. Well, you know, don't expect the best from anybody because people suck, or, you know, life is going to hand you a bowl of shit, or, you know, life ain't a bowl of cherries no matter how you think. And then you see these other people walking around going, hey, life doesn't have to be shit. Hey, life is a bowl of cherries. And you're like, wow, were they raised in a circus? Or, you know, what clone farm did they come from? And the point is that's because they found their spirituality. They found an inner voice inside of them that says, hey, yeah, bad things are going to happen to me, but I'm going to deal with it and I'm going to move forward. And I get to decide how much time I take on each thing. So, you know, bad things have happened to all of us in this world. Excuse me. Bad relationships, bad friendships, bad workplaces, bad experiences, period. Some may seem worse than others, but everybody's experience is their own, and everybody's experience is valid. So, is it hard? Yes. Is it scary? Heck yeah. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Because when you come out on the other side, you're going to look back and go, wow, I made it through that. I made it through the hellfire. I made it through all that fire and brimstone, and I came out on the other side, you know, not only holding the torch, but being the torch. You will light the way for others. And like I said, we can't force anyone into being the person we want them to be. We can't force anyone into seeing who they might be on the inside. If you're trying to force someone to be someone you want them to be, you got some serious shadow work. But that, I don't think, is something anybody who's watching right now is dealing with. What people are dealing with right now that have found this video, whether it's now or later, is that there are people in our lives that we care about, that we love. But I think sometimes we just have to let them find their own way. And that can be hard. And that could be our lesson. It could be our lesson to say, hey, you know what? I got work I have to do on myself. And yeah, baby sibling, you have been through hell and you can do it again. You know, I mean, you know, or maybe it's just, maybe there's the lessons in there, right? To do our own inner child work, to do our own shadow work. Sometimes we may think that we're farther along than we are. I still have a lot of shadow work to do. My shadow work is linear now to the healing work that I've already done. There's parts of me that I am still discovering, haven't been healed yet. But when I say linear to the healing I've already done, I've already healed the big stuff. I've healed the big stuff. And it feels great. It feels wonderful because it's kind of like, wow, I really made it through there. But then there are other things still that have a little bit of an onion peel layer or 5 left that I have to heal. And that's okay, because it could be a work in progress for the rest of my life, or maybe I'll get that shit done in the next, I don't know, year. Who knows? But I just take it as it comes. I'm not looking for it. I'm not trying to find it. These are things that I don't want to look for and I don't want to find, not because I don't want to heal them, but because I have spent so much time ignoring my life, trying to find things to heal, that I'm not doing what I'm meant to do in this world. I'm not moving forward like I should, because I'm so afraid of that rejection, of that fear of rejection, that I haven't been able to move forward. So for me, I just have to take the healing as it comes, and I have to I think I just realized that as I'm talking about it right now. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was my epiphany for this show. You know, sometimes I have them, right in the middle of the show. I have these little epiphanies that say, hey, you know what? Your healing is going to come up as needed. So, in the pharmacy business, that's what PRN means. So if you ever have a prescription, that's what PRN means. It means as needed. And it will. It's a PRN moment. It's an as needed moment. It will come up as it's needed. And when these things come up, I'm going to finish it off with this. When these things come up, meet it with love and meet it with compassion. Your first instinct, which is usually my first instinct, is to meet it with some frustration and anger. But I need to remind myself as well that when these PTSD or CPTSD or trigger moments come up, we have to find a way to meet it with love, or it's not going to turn out well. It's going to break loose. And you don't want it to break loose, because that can be detrimental. That's where self-sabotage comes from. In my personal opinion, in my perspective, that's where self-sabotage comes from. It's that lack of self-worth. It's that lack of healing all that stuff inside of us, all that gunk. I mean, just because you have all that gunk, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're going to make bad choices. It means you're going to self-sabotage. It means you're going to try to hurt yourself and everybody around you because you don't think you deserve it. And that's not good. That's not healthy. I literally wanted to say that's dumb, but I've done it. You know, I have earned a gold medal in self-sabotaging. I mean, if they could make a platinum medal, I would probably have platinum medaled in self-sabotaging. So, you know, we get to make that choice now, though. Healing is a choice, and we can't force other people to heal us for us. We have to do it ourselves. Healing comes from the inside. So if you feel like bad things are happening to you, what is inside of you that you need to learn? What is going on inside of you that you need to heal? Are there damaged parts of you? Are there parts of you that you haven't explored yet? And that's what they're talking about here when they say, hold hands with the devil inside you. Hold hands with the darkest parts of you. And just like number 1 from Friday said, embrace all sides of yourself through compassion. All right. Embrace all sides of yourself with compassion. So I will be back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under the Aloha Perspective on Facebook. I do a shorter version of this on TikTok where I'm probably just going to read this, give a quick summation on it, and then pop it off. And then if you do miss any of these or you don't have a Facebook account, you can find me on the Aloha Perspective on YouTube. And that's probably when I post it on Twitter and all that stuff. So, yeah, I know baby sibling was just saying, yay for the same time zone. I know, I'm so happy we're back in the same time zone. It is, baby sibling and I, because she lives in Arizona and they don't change their time. So for like what, 5 months out of the year, 5-6 months out of the year, I'm living in her past by an hour, or she's living in my future. So, yeah, so there you go. I'll be back here tomorrow, and tomorrow we're going to talk about mandalas, and then on Wednesday we're going to talk about wholeness, and love is the essence of wholeness. So that'll be a great self-care Wednesday. But and I do come back for tomorrow, okay, if you can, or watch tomorrow's show if you're unable to come on live, because the mandalas, I've been coloring these things for forever. I'm learning how to make my own, which I'm not very good at yet, but it's not a race to see who's best. It's not a challenge to see how great you can make it. It's literally about how Carl Jung used this to get into his psyche. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow, okay? I know that we see some intricate mandalas, but there was something I wanted to share because I tried doing this practice last week, and what I found was very, very fascinating. And what I found this last night when I was thinking about talking about the show today, because that's what the show was supposed to be about, I also had some eye-opening thoughts and thought, wow, you know what? There are things that still need to be worked on. But you know what? Healing doesn't mean you're broken. Okay? I mean, we might feel like we're broken at times. We might feel like we're falling apart at times. And maybe we feel shattered into 1,000 pieces. But healing is not saying, hey, you're broken, let's fix you. It's saying, hey, there's parts of you that are dark and might be anchoring you to a place you don't want to be in. So let's heal those, because you deserve to feel joy without some kind of negative feeling attached to it. You deserve love. You deserve, to be respected. You deserve to have your worthiness, reflected back at you without feeling like you got to hustle for your worthiness. We should not have to hustle for our worthiness. Absolutely should not feel like we have to hustle for our worthiness. All right. So again, I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Take care.